What's going on, everybody? This is Zach,
And Andrew?
and here is the long awaited, anticipated by everyone, not really, but it is to me, the Doctor Strange spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie, I don't know what's wrong with you. You should have already seen it, but there will be spoilers. So go watch the movie if you haven't seen it. Come back and watch this video.
If you haven't seen it by now, you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've already seen it twice.
Yeah. I've only seen it once, but yeah.
But you'll be going again.
Yeah, I'll probably go see it again soon.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing I kind of realized on the second time. But yeah, I guess to start out, I'll just say, I mean, you get like the origin story.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much an origin story of Doctor Strange, and you get the whole feeling that's almost like another Iron Man.
Yep.
And definitely because he's the perfect arrogant asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Benedict Cumberbatch plays the role perfectly, and that's what Doctor Strange is supposed to be.
Like,
so it's very much like Tony Stark.
yeah, and I could say, like, to me, Doctor Strange was even more arrogant than Tony Stark was, in my opinion.
And I can totally see that viewpoint.
Yeah, but I mean, they both have their arrogant ways and everything, but he was just like, it's all about me, me, me. I don't care about anyone else. Tony Stark kind of, he cared about certain people. Like,
but he didn't like to admit it.
Yeah, he was, but like Stephen Strange was like complete, like, it's all about me. Screw all of you.
Yeah, you're right. And he even, Tony Stark, like, he was very much nurtured to be like that.
Yeah.
And like losing his parents, but I don't think Stephen Strange had like that rough of an upbringing. I think that's just like the way he is.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, I'm better than you, and
I know. I'm gonna let you know it.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
And he's even looking at MRIs while speeding on a windy road at night in the rain.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the perfect example of like the downfall of his arrogance, that he just thinks he's invincible. He thinks he can do that.
Yeah. It's like,
and unless you have like eyes that work independently of each other, you can't.
No.
So that's when he gets in his accident.
And something about that, though, I won't say I'm shocked, but I was kind of surprised at how early that happened in the movie. I thought like you would get more play out before that happened, but like that was super early in the movie, like the car crash and everything.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that early, just because I knew. I mean, you'd have to go through all like the rehab and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just like just from most origin stories we've seen.
Yeah.
From the MCU, kind of like the big thing that ships them to one direction, kind of a little bit longer, in my opinion. I don't know. I might be wrong, but it just seemed like it came so early to me. Which, I mean, I'm not trying to say it was a bad thing or anything. It was just something that caught my eye.
Yeah. Well, another thing about his car ride, he's talking to a doctor. He's trying to choose who to serve or what cases to take. Yeah. One, he doesn't want to ruin his perfect record, so he doesn't really care about saving people.
Yeah, yeah.
In that case, more than his own glory. Mm-hmm. And one of the cases is about like a colonel in the Air Force who injured lower back and severed spinal cord or something with the lower lumbar.
Mm-hmm.
Experimental armor. So I was thinking that's either something to do with Iron Man 2, or it's something in it's Rhodey from
Civil War. Yeah.
So I think it's it could be either one, because we don't really. There's nothing that sets Doctor Strange in a certain timeline except for the fact that we have. Well, I guess I guess Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Because they're already looking at Stephen Strange.
Yeah.
When they mention his name. So it could be either one. That doesn't really tell much, but either way, it's a cool connection to either one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one that was pretty interesting. It was the one he thought he said, "Oh, interesting. I want to look at this one." Was a girl who had schizophrenia, 22 years old. She had a device in her head, her brain, to control that. It got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
And so I was looking online at an article, and it said, "Oh, is this a new Captain Marvel kind of origin story?" Because I'm sure you remember that they're going to change the origin story to be not like the Green Lantern, because it inherently is.
Yeah, in a way.
So, and then the article went on to say, I mean, that's a little far fetched age wise, and Carol Danvers, like she never had any type of problem like that, and that has nothing to do with the Kree, and like how would that give her powers to make her one of the most powerful superheroes to date?
Yeah,
in the MCU. But another thing it could have been, which made more sense, they mentioned, is Mary Typhoid, which could be a villain in maybe Daredevil season 3, even maybe a villain, a secondary villain working under Sigourney Weaver in Defenders.
Yeah.
So that definitely could be just a little tidbit they added in to kind of connect the two. Because Mary Typhoid, she did have dissociative personality disorder, which isn't the same as schizophrenia, but those are very similar.
Yeah, you could probably mistake it for that.
Oh yeah, even a psychiatrist could do that.
Yeah.
And she went through like the same type thing. Well, not the same type thing, but the mental illness that like narrows it down like perfectly.
Yeah.
Maybe struck by lightning, that gave her powers, unlocked something in her brain. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, so we get Doctor Strange waking up to his hands, and man, they were beat up.
Yeah.
And stitched together.
Stitched.
And even then, he's like, Rachel McAdams' character, Kristen Palmer, she says, no one could have done any better, and he's like, I could.
Yeah.
It's like, really, man?
Yeah, that's like, that shows even like how arrogant he really is. It's like, dude, you just had a terrible car crash, and then you're waking up and pretty much insulting the doctors, saying you could have done.
Like, you've ruined me.
Yeah, you ruined me. I could have done better. Blah blah blah. I mean, come on, man. You just freaking snap out of it.
Yeah, and then he tries to go. So he tries everything. Looks at like experimental stuff, and then eventually, I mean, he's a total douche to Christine Palmer.
Yeah,
and I think that's what you're talking about. Like, he doesn't even care about her. Like, it's all about him.
Yeah. Like
and that was a real, just like, wow.
Yeah, he blows all of his money trying to, find the way to get his hand, because his hands are shaky now. He doesn't have the most stable hands in the world now to do what he is the best at. So he's like trying to find a way to fix his hands. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, everybody pretty much knows that. So I mean, it's not anything new.
But they did a good job of portraying like he was really broken and like at his end, and his ego's really crushed, and he's doing the rehab. And this guy talks about this one case, and he's like, "That's impossible." And he's like, I'm going to pull the case file just to prove your arrogant ass wrong.
Yeah.
And that part was hilarious.
Yeah.
I know tons of people laughed at that part.
He called because Steven calls him a Mr. Bachelor's degree.
Yeah. Like insulting people with bachelors, like that's like that's a given.
Yeah.
But he meets the guy, and he that sets him on his path to Kamar-Taj. And so he goes there with his last dime. And he almost gets mugged in like this back street.
Yeah.
And man, he tries to punch someone, and I was like, man, that must have hurt so bad.
Yeah. Because he was, because you could tell after that scene, he's like walking around holding his hand.
Yeah. Good point. I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
But then Morty saves him with some ninja moves and then takes him to Kamar-Taj. And one of the line he says, like, forget everything you think you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you made me realize that meant way more. He wasn't just saying that to Stephen Strange.
He's saying it to us as the viewer.
Yeah. Because what happens next in this movie, like, really could change everything.
Yeah.
Because you see him and he's like trying to talk about science, and then he gets proved wrong by the Ancient One.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just being so arrogant and talks down to her, like just like he does to Christine Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, but then at the end, once he goes through this psychedelic scene, she just sends him flying through dimensions, and he's like, "Teach me."
Yeah.
And she says no, and then just kick him out.
Just throws him, because you've seen that in the trailers and everything. And then when she says, "No, I wasn't expecting that at all," I was like, "Oh wow!" Just throws him out in the street. Like, well, okay.
Yeah, that was funny. And then so he's out there like 5 hours, and then he's eventually Mordo convinces the Ancient One to let him back in, and then he's sitting by the door, and then he falls through when they open it. He says, "Thank you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he leads into his room and gives him like this piece of paper, and he said, "This is your, what is this? Is your mantra?" And he's like,
"No,
it's a Wi-Fi password.
We're not savages.
We're not savages." And I'd already seen that in the trailers.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish stuff like that hadn't been in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it was fresh to a lot of people, so that was a big.
And it
laughing moment.
Yeah, and it didn't take away from the humor of the movie, like that we've already seen it, because there was a lot more funny stuff throughout the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't like the only thing.
Like this was probably one of the funniest movies since, I would say, Ant-Man, in a way.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't think that.
Sure.
You wouldn't think that either, but I mean, it works. It's not like it's jokes. Oh, this is stupid. This is corny. No, it actually works.
Yeah. And I think back to when he's checking out books, learning from the library.
Yeah.
He meets Wong, and he's like, "Oh, it's just Wong. That's like Adele."
Yeah.
Ano. And so none of them are ringing a bell. So that was funny. And then in the library, that's where Caecilius rips out the rogue sorcerer and his followers rips out a page, and
yeah,
he does. And as he's running away, the Ancient One chases him. We don't know it's the Ancient One then, but when she locks him in the mirror dimension, which we don't even know what that is yet.
Yeah.
But looking back, she had locked them in, and that's when she starts shifting the gravity in the buildings, and Caecilius yells, "Hypocrite!"
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the second time I saw it that I realized the only reason she had those powers is because she was drawing power from the dark dimension.
Yeah.
Which was the same thing she is like saying he can't do.
Yeah, preaching against.
Yeah, so you can see where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because she says it's forbidden knowledge, but she uses it herself.
Yeah.
And we'll see later why she forbids it. With great power comes great responsibility.
And going back to the book, he rips out the spells. Caecilius does. I was thinking that book was the Vishanti, and he rips out those pages, and in the Marvels it's called the Lost Pages of the Vishanti.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I thought it was, but it turns out that's not what it is. So I was like, well, whatever.
Well, that sounds super familiar.
Yeah.
And then he does the little ritual to give him powers or whatever to draw energy from the dark dimension.
Yeah.
And I totally heard. I was like, did I just hear Dormammu? And because I had heard that, because I've been looking at all this stuff about Doctor Strange. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we obviously get him later.
Yeah.
And I think it's a super cool scene. Well, I'll get to that later, but we get introduced like when she's talking about when the Ancient One's talking to Doctor Strange about the multiverse. Like, I mean, she says the multiverse.
Yeah.
So it introduces that.
Yeah, it's confirmed that there is a multiverse.
Yeah, which is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they can just do so much with that. And we were talking, I said, if there is, were the Infinity Stones created at the beginning of all the multiverse, or just each one has their own set?
Yeah.
So that could be an interesting plot point to maybe bring up later.
Yeah, because and that's something something I had told you. I mean, it could be a very far-fetched theory, but it's been said. Kevin Feige has said that there are two gauntlets with Thanos. Or Thanos, this universe. There's two gauntlets out there. Maybe Thanos somehow, because there's only 6 stones. You don't need 2 gauntlets for 6 stones.
Yeah.
And so maybe one of them is from another dimension somehow, or another universe that somehow got to ours. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we were thinking there's either 2 options. Okay, there's 2 hands, so 2 gloves.
Yeah.
Or he went to another universe and got it from there.
Yeah, and I mean...
he probably didn't do that. He probably got someone to do it. He doesn't do things himself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Not yet.
Yeah, no. So, like you said, somebody might have got it, or somehow it ended up here, somehow in a way, who knows?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that could be far-fetched, like I said. It's just something that came to my head after seeing this movie, because, everything you think just forget it. So, like, that's...
Yeah.
All these ideas start to run through your head and what direction they're trying to take this. So, I mean, it's just something that popped in my head.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but...
Another really cool thing was that this one of Baron Mordo's staff was endowed with the power of the Living Tribunal.
Yep.
Which was like, I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, like, super powerful.
The Living Tribunal is...
Because they exist in, what I read, is the entire multiverse.
Yeah, the Living Tribunal is the second... He's second most powerful underneath the one above all. And the Living Tribunal, he keeps balance between all the, like throughout the whole multiverse.
Equity, necessity, and I forgot the third one. It's like death.
Yeah.
So like those, so like in our universe, it's like Galactus, and then equity is something else, and then death is like the third one that it's like a mirroring of the Living Tribunal throughout the whole multiverse, which is like huge.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're like second in command. So you have that kind of power and a staff, like, wow.
And that could also be a tease to say, hey, the Living Tribunal is going to be in one of the Infinity War movies,
Mm-hmm.
And
they could get loose out of that thing.
Yeah, because the Living Tribunal does play a role in one of the Infinity storylines, one of the Thanos storylines. I can't remember which one it was. So that's something you could also see happening. Is he not just a name drop, but actually him being a character in Infinity War or something like that.
And they even have, so it's like one person, 3 heads.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Trinity thing. But it doesn't necessarily mean like the whole Living Tribunal is in that thing. It could just be part of it.
Yeah. It could just be some of the power that he has is in that weapon.
Yeah. Because it's so great, I doubt the whole thing is in there.
Yeah.
And then we also get the name drop of, obviously, the Eye of Agamotto.
Yep.
And he was the first guy.
First Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, and I've heard they could always bring him back somehow with all the dimensions and time.
Yeah.
To be a villain, which would be cool. Because people can always change their minds about, and you have both sides.
Yeah.
But he had obviously harnessed the power of the Time Gem. Or Time Stone, which is really cool. And we don't get that reveal technically until the end. We knew what it was, but some people didn't, so I thought that was a cool reveal if you didn't know at the end.
Yeah.
And I really loved when Doctor Strange. Okay, one of the biggest scenes when Caecilius, he's like, I don't know your name or whatnot. He's like, Mr. He's like, Doctor. Mr. Doctor?
Yeah.
Strange. Maybe. Who am I to judge?
Yeah.
And that one got tons of laugh, and I thought that was just hilarious. Even though it's in the commercials, not a ton, but like it still was so funny.
Yeah, that's a great line, man.
That's like quintessential Marvel quipping.
Yeah.
Right there. So that whole battle scene is so cool. And then we finally get the Cloak of Levitation, which is just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Which is with its mind of its own.
Yeah.
And then we get Caecilius locked up, and he kind of explains why he thinks like time is the enemy, and it does make sense. Like going to the dark dimension, you can live forever.
Yeah.
Because there is no time.
Yeah.
So you can even tell Doctor Strange is like thinking about it, and he questions the Ancient One when he gets back to her.
Yeah.
But he still questions Caecilius because he's like, okay, this guy's like killing people.
Yeah.
And he looks pretty demonic with his eyes.
Yeah.
And he points that out. And it's cool. We get like the Cloak of Levitation, and when it gets on him, and when he turns, sometimes you're just like, even if you've never seen Strange, you're like, that's the costume.
Yeah.
Like he's getting it.
It's spot on, man.
And so we get them chasing after Caecilius and the followers. And then we see the Ancient One die, which was crazy. But there was a really good scene between the Ancient One and Doctor Strange at the very end. When she talks about his future in Mordu and how time gives meaning to life.
Yeah.
So you like savor every moment.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she views it, and she's had to draw power in the dark dimension. But her line, she says, the truth that it's not all about you.
Yeah.
And he really becomes a hero.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, when he's facing Dormammu and he has this really good idea, he has the time gem and he knows what it does. And it controls time. And Caecilius, and they're in Hong Kong, and he says, because they're trying to take down the last sanctum, so the Dormammu can come through, and they already have. So he reverses time, but the Caecilius breaks out of that time loop.
Yeah.
And he says, a place beyond time, and that's when he gets it.
Yeah.
The light bulb moment. So he introduces time into Dormammu's world.
Yeah.
And that's what screws it up. Because without time, Dormammu experiences Doctor Strange time loop over and over and over.
Yeah.
And he basically says, I'll stay here forever. And as long as I'm here, you can't, and you're stuck in this time loop, you can't absorb Earth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And he's changed so much from the beginning of the movie until the end, and realizing he can save more lives, and he doesn't need his hands anymore, because the Ancient One told him, you could go back to your old life.
Uh-huh.
You can, but he doesn't.
Mm-mm.
And so I thought that was really cool. Do you have anything to say about like Dormammu or whatnot?
Yeah, like probably will be one of the best quotes in Marvel history so far.
Oh, I know it's coming.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Yes.
That is probably will go down in history as one of the best Marvel quotes. It was just because, he's, like you said, he's doing that time loop, and he just keeps coming back saying the same thing over and over, and Dormammu's, what is this sorcery type, something like that, what is going on?
I brought some power from my own world.
Yeah, and he just, like, annihilates Doctor Strange every time. He's like, he comes back, I've come to bargain.
So many different ways. Yeah, it gets comical.
Yeah, it was just hilarious. And so, they settle a bargain, and something I told you, he goes after he gets a deal with Dormammu, he comes back to Earth, and and you see Caecilius and all the zealots they look like they're turning to ash or something, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
and you see their eyes. It kind of starts to form like a bar, like kind of looks like Cyclops eyes. You know what
Like
I mean?
a purple light.
Yeah, and something I thought, and again I could be wrong, but they kind of look like mindless ones for a
Oh, I
second.
think you're totally right.
Yeah, I could see it happening, them coming back and being mindless ones.
And he probably already has a ton. He just added to his crew of little minions.
Yeah.
So I guess they didn't, and like they said, he didn't read the fine print, and that's what Doctor Strange says. And Wong thinks that's the most funny thing he's ever heard.
Yeah.
And that was a great part when he actually laughs.
Yeah, because Wong throughout the whole movie, I know we didn't mention
He's been so stoic.
Yeah, because we didn't mention it earlier, but Wong, like every joke, he's like he doesn't laugh, and he's like, I'm usually pretty funny. He's like, how did that work out for you?
And then Doctor Strange is like, I gotta get to studying right now.
Yeah. But another thing that was sort of funny that we didn't mention, the first fight with Caecilius, he opens a portal and goes back to the hospital and sees Christine because he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
And he's running, Christine. He yells Christine, and then she's like, "What? Whoa, what's going on? Where have you been? Everything. I need you to operate on me real quick."
Basically, her reactions to this whole situation,
yeah,
are hilarious because it's insane.
Yeah, if you would have, he's been gone for, I don't know. They never say how long he was gone for, so we don't know. And
yeah,
he comes back here. You've been gone this whole time. Where have you been? I've been Kathmandu. I've learned magic pretty much and everything.
And he tells the truth, but she just thinks he's crazy.
Yeah, he's like, okay, she thinks he's lying, but he's like telling her, the 100% truth. And and that one scene where she's like working on him on his chest on the wound, he's like, I'll be back or whatever, keep me alive or something.
Yeah.
And but no, he jumps into his astral form, and she can see him. Mm-hmm. Like half of his body floating in the air, and she just freaks out, and then he says, "I'll be back. Just keep me alive." And all of a sudden, he's fighting with the other astral projected zealot, and they're fighting in the hospital room, and they bump into surgical lights or certain equipment, and it moves a little bit, and she's like, "What the heck is going on?"
It affects the real world a little bit.
Yeah, and then he goes into cardiac arrest, so she uses the AED on him, and it shocks the other guy, blows him away pretty much, and he comes back and is like, "Crank up the voltage, do it again. I don't care, do it again when I tell you."
Like, your heart's going.
Yeah, she's like, "You're alive, you're back alive." He's like, "I don't care, do it again," and he grabs it and it does, and it kills the other guy's actual body.
Yeah.
And he comes back. He's like, he's alive and well and everything. And, he tells her, "All right, I got to go back. I created a portal to get here. Blah blah blah." She's like, "Okay, whatever. You're full of crap." And they go into that mop room, and there's a portal still there, and he just walks right through it. And she's like, "Oh, okay. I believe you now." But something like with that, something that made it really funny was a few moments later, you talked about the Ancient One getting, she fights and like pretty much gets killed. Not at that moment, but they rush her back to that same hospital, and
Christine?
Yeah, Christine.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, not again. That was funny to me. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it was just funny. It's like you could see that kind of like being a run of like some kind of joke throughout the movie if they could have kept doing it. Come back, Christine. Oh, not again.
Definitely, they could do that as a running joke in the next movie because, like, anytime something like that happens,
yeah,
he knows exactly where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So another point we talked about is, I think you may have mentioned it. Like Dormammu could definitely be like a future Avengers movie villain.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking like even if Marvel, Disney doesn't have the rights to Galactus, which is the World Eater.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the Universe Eater,
Yeah.
Dormammu. Like that is big time.
And like you see Dormammu, and you've seen the comics up, like the comic pictures of him and whatnot. He doesn't look exactly like that. You know what I mean? But I could I still think it's perfect for what they're doing because he's massive. Like this is something like going back to Fantastic Four, the second, like the old one, the second, like the Rise of the Silver Surfer. You know how Galactus.
I mean, just like a big storm.
Yeah, how Galactus looked. Like Galactus is that size character. All right, and they just made him like a stupid storm. But you go here, Doctor Strange. It's like it's an actual person who looks that huge.
Yeah,
and like I just thought it was awesome. And you don't really see a flaming head.
And as I looked back and you said that, it does a little bit, but they definitely did what you said. They made him look like older iterations of Dormammu.
Yeah.
As opposed to the newer ones to make sure that people didn't confuse him with Ghost Rider.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes a lot of sense.
And, we still haven't seen his whole... We pretty much just saw his head, We didn't really see his whole entire body. And his head, was massive compared to Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange is like a little speck compared just to his head. So, you think... I'm just saying, you think Thanos is going to be a problem? Just wait. If they go that direction with him being, say, phase 4 through 6, type villain, like the overlaying villain of it, like all of it, it's going to be bigger stakes in my opinion.
For sure. And one thing I saw today, and I think I sent you the article, I don't know if you read it yet, but
I read some of it, but yeah, go on.
But Benedict Cumberbatch actually voiced Dormammu.
Yeah.
And you can't tell, but if once someone says that to you, you'd be like, oh yeah, I can kind of see that. And when we're talking about time, he's messed with time now, and he probably will later when he has to. And you have a multiverse. That could be him in another universe somehow became Dormammu. And if you've ever played BioShock Infinite, I don't know, Zach, you haven't played, right?
No, I haven't.
If anyone's listening who's played that game, they could be going down the same type story of that. It was blow your mind.
Yeah.
Because it's a multiverse and you don't realize that you're actually the villain.
Yeah.
In another universe. And it's an otherworldly being who owns a dimension that swallows others.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that's you.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much a stretch, but that could be just a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah.
If that is true.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm pretty sure we covered everything. But I mean, we could talk about the post-credit scenes real quick, which were telling of the future,
Yeah, so we'll definitely get to see Doctor Strange in Thor Ragnarok, at least at the beginning, because he's gonna bust Loki. He's gonna be like, "Hey, where's Dad? Send him to Earth.
Yeah,
let's go get him." And one of the things you said, and we talked about, is that do Asgardians know about the multiverse and different dimensions? And they probably don't, because if they didn't even know that sorcerers were on Earth and stuff, then I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because they're the protector of the 9 realms,
Which this universe.
Yeah, with this, I guess this would be considered 616 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, the movies is
199.
999. Yeah.
But Thor's sitting with Doctor Strange, and he, like you said, he goes, so there's wizards, sorcerers on Earth now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Thor knows anything beyond just the 9 realms.
He couldn't, and they should, because the Sorcerer Supreme has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be cool to see him in that movie. And then we get Baron Mordo coming back, and he thinks there's too many sorcerers.
Yep.
In the world. So, and you can kind of tell, like, his convictions. So he's not like both villains in these movies are not like typical villains where it's just I'm evil.
Yeah.
But you can kind of tell where they're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, you like most, like with Mordo, he's kind of like he thinks people are like the sorcerers are taking advantage of the magic. So
he's such a stickler, and he's so strong and set in his ways.
Yeah.
Of staying within the natural law, no matter what.
It's like somebody who wants to follow the rules to the T without compromising any for the greater good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even he says the bill always comes due, and maybe something Doctor Strange did manipulating the timeline, he changed time, so.
Yeah.
Maybe something he did will come back to bite him. Maybe it was the creation of Dormammu. Maybe that moment created him, and that started the time loop.
Possibly.
But we're just seeing it come back another round. Like the second or third and so forth.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he's... So maybe that line will carry more weight as we go on to the other movies.
Yeah, but... if you've seen this movie, and even if you haven't seen this movie, it's like we said, everything you thought you knew about the MCU, throw it out the window. Everything is changing, man. I mean, for the better.
Your favorite heroes could be Skrulls already.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm still thinking about, man, so much stuff is going to be different. And from what Kevin Feige has said, we haven't even got to the, movie where it's considered the Winter Soldier of Phase 2, or will be Phase 3. So, because, that's supposed to be Thor: The Dark World. Or not Thor, sorry, Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just, because for me, Doctor Strange would be that film. In a sense, where it's like I said, everything you thought is different. Everything's changed, flipped upside down on its head. Every freaking acronym, whatever you can think of, it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward, I can't wait to see what they do.
Same.
But other than that, great movie, man. Top 5 MCU movies by far.
Yeah, it was great. And I say it was like Iron Man, but it was way different.
Yeah.
Than that. It was Iron Man-esque.
As an origin story, it was Iron Man-esque, yeah. But as a movie story wise, everything like that, it's totally different.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you've watched this movie or watched this review and haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. If you watch this review and haven't seen the movie, you're an idiot. But other than that, leave a like, comment, subscribe. We'll have more stuff coming soon. We got a break with S.H.I.E.L.D. till November 29th, so we'll try to keep some videos coming through that time. But
going through withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. I just think they're doing that so everybody go see the movie, then come back. But we'll have more stuff coming soon. So be on the lookout. Talk to you guys later.
Peace.